Action.
One.
1.5, 0.5, 0.25. Hello. Hi, everybody. Let me move the microphone. I talk a little bit louder. Happy New Year. I'm going to start off with a song first, and then I'll teach a class on the topic that I have in mind. If you have something that you just, gosh, I'm dying to know what this thing does. No question is a bad question. The bad question is one that never gets asked, okay? So go ahead and put it in the chat, and if I have time, I'll get to that. But to open up, I'll start off with a song, and hopefully you'll enjoy this version. We'll see what happens. Here we go. Well, there's your opening number. Wasn't that pretty? I don't know if you recognize that. Yes, maybe a round of applause. Actually, you should give Myra a round of applause. She sent me those setups. That was her setup for the song she performed at our last concert of the year. And I'll tell you a little bit about how to get those setups and the tips a little bit later on. But I wanted to go through. She customized them so they were easy to use. So hopefully you enjoyed that rendition and that arrangement. Well, again, good morning, good afternoon, happy New Year. Today I'm going to start with a topic that many of you probably use sometimes, and I'm just going to go in the chat to see. Nobody put any questions in there. Oh my goodness, you guys are just too smart. So what I thought I'd do is, you noticed I used the Virtuoso here, and a lot of times I get various questions that ask a similar thing. When do you use that? How do you use that? Or something like that. So I'm going to give a couple of tips on the Virtuoso. This feature was introduced originally, I'll give you a little history lesson. It was originally introduced in 2006. It's been around that long, believe it or not, on an organ called the Lowry Palladium. Do you remember that, Joni? The Lowry Palladium when that came out? And I can tell you, the Palladium at that time introduced all these wonderful styles and the style in the cabinet. And I can tell you, for as much money as they asked for that organ, this was in 2006, I can't tell you how many Palladiums I sold because I was running my finger across this going, hey, look at this, woo! And everybody was going, woo! Oh, wait. Myra has some birds in the presets there. And how many people went, ooh, the Virtuoso. And technically, there's a right way and a wrong way to use the Virtuoso. The wrong way is don't use it at all. But there is a few different ways to use the Virtuoso. So I'm going to share that with you. Hopefully, that'll stimulate some questions, and then we'll take it a little bit further. Okay? So first of all, the Virtuoso is a feature that's designed to be used not all the time. All right? And the one thing that I encourage is when you're playing the song, if you've noticed, when I was playing, as I use the Virtuoso, I very rarely, you may, any of us, you see us using the Virtuoso, you'll rarely see us take our right hand, which is where we're playing the melody, you'll very rarely see us play our right hand and take it off and use the Virtuoso. Many people who play, when they're playing, they tend to use their left hand because we're holding a melody note. Unless the song calls for a pause in the song, where it's a rest, if you will. Okay? So if it does that, that's a different story. But other than that, I always encourage students, even when there is a rest, I'll say hold that note and reach up and use the Virtuoso. So that way it doesn't sound like an abrupt stop. So when I was playing the song, let's see, at anywhere here. Okay, and if I want to, I like holding that note. Notice how I'm holding the note, right? And the reason for that is, to me, it's a personal preference. It sounds a little better when you're holding the note. Now, I'll do it the other way. It just seems like, okay, we lost the melody. Okay? So the first tip I like to say is, if you're using the Virtuoso, I'm going to say most of the time, your ears will tell you, most of the time, hold the note, the melody note, reach over and do it. Now, I understand some people may have limitations physically to where they, maybe you could have had a shoulder replacement, who knows. We're reaching over. Now, for those of you who have the marquee, Grand Marquee and Aria, you have a little advantage there in that when you're playing, at least reaching over here is a little easier than reaching over, okay? And I wonder if that's why they put 2 on there, so you have the option depending you're doing. Sometimes I've even gone as far as doing this, or I've suggested to some students, maybe it's a little difficult, they do this. Now, there's a little coordination there because you have to go back to the chord you were and so forth. But if it's a slower piece like that, it might be a little bit easier to do. Hold the note. That note never leaves. And then you can do the Virtuoso. Just a couple little, I'm going to say, personal preferences, the way I use the Virtuoso. Now, there's a couple other things with the Virtuoso that you can do that's really fun. And if you haven't done this yet, I'm going to encourage you to do it because it could be a lot of fun. You have the option, the Virtuoso, by default, if I just power up the organ and turn it on, no presets, I'm just turning it on, I want to say 90% of the most of the time defaults to the same sound that's in the golden harp. Okay? Now, the golden harp on here is it's over here. I believe the marquees and the arias are in the same location, if I'm not mistaken. So you have a golden harp button. You have 8 different patterns, and as you know, the golden harp on the organs, many of the organs, you have the ability to change the golden harp to bells. You can change it to piano, what have you. But this sound defaults to the same sound that's in the golden harp. So right now I have golden harp. I'm just holding a chord down. Okay. So the sound you hear is the golden harp. Okay. Now, many of you have maybe many of you do this. Sometimes it does it automatically. Have the ability to change the golden harp. So if I want, I can take that golden harp sound. Now on here it says rate and sounds. I'm going to touch sounds, and it says vibes. Now what I'm going to do is turn that on, and this is what we get. All right, so we got a vibe sound in the golden harp now, right? So what sound is going to be in the virtuoso? I kind of gave you a hint. The same sound that's in the golden harp is the same sound that's in the virtuoso. So if I change the golden harp sound to a vibraphone, then theoretically vibraphone should be in this virtuoso, or whatever one you choose. And in this case, okay. Now, even if I turn off the golden harp button, so I've got the golden harp off. Now listen, no golden harp sound, no pattern. I'm going to still have the vibraphone, okay? Again, what it's called is the source, okay? So what I'm going to do, let's keep our fingers crossed and hope that it works, because screen sharing has been a problem lately with Zoom or my computer, and it's happened to Sean. So please tell me you can see an owner's manual there. I have a few head nods.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yes, you're between pages,
Well, I'm
but
between pages. You see a picture of a big window here?
not quite.
Here?
You have to go up a little bit.
You'll still see all that?
Well, I see it on the side, but your main screen that you're sharing, it's cut off.
Okay.
You need to scroll up.
Can you get to page 3?
How's that?
No change.
Okay.
Move it up.
What do you see now?
Same thing.
Oh, screen share is not working very well. Okay, let me try it again.
There. No.
Oh, no, I took it away. That's the organ. That's me. I know I want to be seen more than the manual, but let me try this again. Let me try this again. Share. Okay. You see the table of contents?
Not yet.
Okay. So screen share is either not working. Okay. So plan B. All right. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pull up a screen on the, huh?
Well, it keeps cutting in and out. It's okay on the small.
All right, give me a second, folks. Let me go to the page and then see if I can get to that page. Now, in your owner's manual, by the way, if you have a digital copy, and I know I've said this many times, but if you have a feature that you like that you see in the owner's manual and you click on it, it'll automatically bring you to that page. The problem is I got to find it. I'll try it one more time. Oh, so. And Grand Virtuoso. Let me see if it pulls up. And then I'll try one more time. And if not, I'll have to do plan B. Okay. So here we go. One more time. Keep your fingers crossed. Do you see a picture of a finger on the screen?
No.
No, of course not. All right. So I'm going to do it this way. So in your instrument, marquee, aria, grand marquee, aria, and marquee owners, you have a button that says, I believe, grand virtuoso to the right of the organ. Okay, and when you do that for those of you who have it on this model here, there's a feature that just simply says virtuoso. If there's anybody on here today that has a series model that has it, you'll see a button that says virtuoso. And when you do that, this is what you're going to get. Now I'm going to make it dizzy for a minute. Okay. Do you see that there? It says sound source, golden harp, and then pattern normal. Can you all see that? I can't tell. I can't see if you're nodding yes.
I can see it.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right. So what I want you to do is take a minute
Stop
and
shaking.
write that down, because I'm going to refer to that a lot. Okay? Sound source, golden harp, pattern normal. Now I'm going to switch cameras here because I am determined to. Oh, I can't do that because then it won't work. The screen share is not working right. Okay. Sound source, golden harp, pattern normal. Okay. Now, pardon me, folks. Let me just take the phone off so I can get a little closer. Get rid of the glare. Okay, I'm going to keep it as steady as I can. And I'm going to do this. I want you all to write this down because then I could put the camera back and then show you examples. Okay, so sound source, it means whatever sound is programmed in your golden harp, whether the golden harp is on or not, that's the important factor. Whatever sound is programmed in the golden harp is also the sound that will go into the virtuoso. Now, you marquee, aria, grand marquee owners, you have two virtuosos. So in your screen, you'll have two of these, and one will say left and the other will say right. Okay? Everything works the same for both. All right? So now I'm going to put, I touched it, and I'm going to scroll. Now, you see that? It says upper. What that simply means is if I play the virtuoso, any sound that's in the upper keyboard will go into the virtuoso. Okay? So I hope you're all writing this down. And then one more. Lower right. And it's exactly what it says. Any sound that's in the lower right, here, if that is selected, whatever sound happens to be in the lower right will then be placed into the virtuoso. Okay? Now, you have a thing called pattern on the bottom, and it says normal. Think of this kind of like the golden harp pattern, how it just goes up and down. And then there's one called skip. So if I run my finger, let me bring it back to the golden harp sound. So here is, put a C chord here. So if I run my finger up, okay, that's the same normal pattern as in the golden harp. Now if I touch that and put it to skip, listen to the same notes. Okay? All right, so hopefully you wrote all that down, because I'm going to switch cameras there, so I'll make you dizzy in the process of switching back here. All right, now I'm going to demonstrate some of those. As soon as I get my camera back here. I don't understand. I had it perfect. Now it won't fit the same. Okay. All right. Can you see that okay? All right. So now I'm going to go back and demonstrate some of those things. I hope you wrote them down. So I'm just going to power up the organ from scratch. Just turn it on. Basic organ sound is on. If I put on a golden harp sound, you'll get your 8 different patterns. You could choose whatever one you want, but you'll also get just the golden harp. Okay? So right now there's no other sound that I'm changing in that point. So theoretically that same sound you just heard should be in the Virtuoso. So that's what I'm going to get. Oops, I got golden harp going on at the same time. I'm going to turn it off. Now watch. Okay? So that source is coming from the golden harp. Now I'm going to go back to the screen where it says Virtuoso. And I'm going to touch golden harp as the source, and I'm going to change it to upper. So I'm going to go upper. So whatever sound is in the upper, in this case just a plain old organ, okay, will go into that sound. Okay? Now I'm going to show you in a minute how this can work to your advantage for some of the sounds. And then if I go lower right, let's see if I have anything in the lower right. There is nothing in the lower right in this setup, so nothing will go into that. All right? Now, let's do something a little fun here. I'm going to pick a category setup, and let's just go through. Let me find one that I think I may like. Is there... Oh, that's nice too. Theater, lush. I will put... I wonder if they have the diapasons on here. No. Okay, well, they don't. That's fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick, let's see here. I'll pick the D bank. Okay, so many of you have the D bank. And here are some of the setups in the D bank. So you got strings. Yeah. All right, and I'm going to put on number 1, piano. And I got oboe and strings. All right, now, if I come to the Virtuoso, I have the choice of a golden harp, or I have a choice of taking that upper keyboard sound and putting it in here as well. Now, when you're playing it manually, it's a little bit trickier. I'm playing it manually so you could hear this. I would normally have a rhythm on, something like this. So right now, that source, the source sound is from whatever's in the upper keyboard. Okay, now keep in mind, it's whatever happens to be programmed in the upper keyboard. Sometimes it's going to work perfectly, and sometimes you'll do it and go, oh, what in the heck is that? That's okay. That's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen with this sound. So what I'm going to do is go back to Virtuoso or Grand Virtuoso on the other models, and I'm going to put lower right. So this sound is going to go in here. Let's see what happens. Now, here's something you need to know too that will sometimes work to your advantage in the sound is if a harmony happens to be on at that point in time, it'll also put the harmony in the virtuoso as well. So check this out. I'm going to play, what was I just playing? Name that tune.
Memories.
Joni got it right. She gets a virtual lollipop. Let's send her a virtual
Yeah.
lollipop. There she goes.
Yeah, memory.
All right. So I'm going to play it one time through, and then I'll start using. Then I'm going to use the virtuoso. Okay. And watch what I do. Instead of playing the melody, I'm going to just hold the note. So if you notice, as I was holding that note, instead of playing the melody, I was changing the chords of the song, and automatically the notes were changing with me. And because it was a harmony, the harmonies was changing. Now, did you notice I moved my finger slightly? I didn't do it like your typical, you know. I was just moving it slightly. Occasionally, I did that because as I was holding a note and changing the chord, I thought, that's okay, but it wasn't just right for me. And then I just move it to another part, and it automatically it almost sounded like it corrected itself. The point is that I wonder, I don't know, maybe Joni may know the answer to this because she worked for Lowry. She was our inside gal. We learned all these tricks after the years. I always said, I think this is what sparked Fake It. Because this came out before Fake It. Because I remember I saw you do it. I used to see Albert do it all the time. He'd show people how to improvise using the virtuoso. And it became even more fun when you had harmonies in there. So here's an example. I love playing the style jumping jazz. I think that's on here. Let me go up to my J's. And I do this particular setup a lot. And I fail to tell people a lot what I do, but it's a simple setup. Here's jumping jazz, okay? And then I'll use category setup. I think it is, I want to say it's brass. Hopefully they have it on here. I think it's brass. Is it brass or is it? Give me a second. Brass, nostalgic jazz. Let me see. Let me take a look at the screen here. Nope, that's not it. There's brass. There's nostalgic. And I think, is there one called jazz? Let's see.
Yeah,
Oh, I can't find it. What I like to do is find the trumpet shake. Give me a minute. I know where it's at on one of the organs. I'll be right back. I'm running all the way to the front of the store very quickly. I'm 100 feet away, but I work out, so I'm so fast that I can very quickly and easily get back just in time. Boy, I'm really fast. No, I just went right behind the TV here. Okay, so the setup that I'm looking for is not here. But what I like to do is find a trumpet shake and then the saxophone. So what I'll do is something like I'll show you. Let me take style list and Happy Arrogant vintage 10. All right, so here's an example. I'll just show you a side trick here. When I use the style Happy Organ, make a note, rhythm preset vintage number 10, you get a trumpet shake and a growl saxophone. All right? And if you play that style, you can do this kind of song with it. Okay, well that's nice, but I want to use that sound with jumping jazz. So how do I do that? I'm going to save that preset. So I'm going to do memorize. We'll do C1 and then memorize. So this same sound should be on C1. 1. And then I'll come back and use jumping jazz. All right. And jumping jazz, where are you? Jumping jazz. Style list. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. I is a graduate, folks, so I know my alphabet. All right. So here's jumping jazz. That's the style. So that what you want to do, what I want to do, should I say, is I'm going to turn on the Virtuoso. And it says upper. So this sound here is up here. All right. And it also has a harmony. Let me see what harmony. It has a 4-part harmony. So essentially what's in here is a 4-part harmony with this brass section sound. All right. And then down here is growl saxophone. I don't know if I'll put that in there. I might. Who knows? We'll see what the mood strikes me. But I do like using this occasionally. So here we go. Lower right. Now I mentioned pattern. You could change the pattern. So here's normal. Now here's step. some of you would say, well, why wouldn't I use the fake it? Well, the fake it has predetermined notes that work with the chord. Here, it does kind of follow the higher you go here, the higher the note. The lower you go, the lower the note. So what happens is, if you have that style on, let me put it back on. Jump in jazz. So if I have the style on, I'll do it. Now this is the skip pattern is what I did. And you got some of those really neat trills that a lot of saxophone players do when they play. They really know how to play. And it'll automatically, and you go higher, whereas the fake it has a predetermined pattern that does it for you. So if you have the auto one, it does a really cool pattern. If you tap it out, or noodle as Don likes to say, the pattern is going to be preset depending on how many times you play those notes. Here you have a little flexibility in how you like that. And then you could take it a step further. If you want to put from here the sound that I had, and I had the trumpet shake, it had a harmony, and it also put that harmony in there. And then you don't have to wiggle your finger. I don't know why. I just feel like I have to shake my hand. It's like this added extra effect, like I'm doing anything, but it really doesn't do anything different. It's just second nature. So, questions?
Did you want to comment on setup hold
Setup hold.
on
Is
the
that
aria?
Did someone put that in the chat?
On the aria? No, it's just my brain.
Oh, you want to know what setup hold does?
No, I know what setup hold does.
Okay. For
Because
those,
you see a big difference when you have to memorize it versus when you don't.
okay, so the short answer to setup hold is what it's called. It's been a while. Okay, so for you ARI owners, you have a button that says setup hold. This is actually a classic example. If I had an aria, what I would have done, because I knew the sound that I wanted was the brass shake. It had a harmony and a growl saxophone, and I knew to find it on the happy organ sound because that's the happy organ rhythm with vintage number 10. I just knew it because it's been that way since the Prestige. But I wanted to use that sound with another rhythm. And that's a classic example as to why they put that feature on there. I'm glad Joni brought this up. The problem is you noticed I was able to use that sound with another rhythm, but what did I do? I had to memorize it, put it in C1 or A1, whatever, and then go back. And so I had to do a few extra steps. If for you ARIA owners, if you just push setup hold, what'll happen is that setup will remain locked. And so if you jump around to any of the other rhythms, that setup will hold. That would have saved me a whole bunch of grief and aggravation. So some of you who are local here who have an aria, you're just going to have to let me borrow your aria for a couple months, okay, Carolyn? She's saying yes, like the hell with you. I'll have to come out there. No, I'm glad she brought that up because I know there's a lot of aria owners on here today. So remember that if you have a setup like I did, I knew where to find it, but I have to play it with another rhythm. Just simply press setup hold, and you can change any rhythm you want at any time, and that setup will remain locked there until you change that setup button. Carolyn, do you have a question? Carolyn Storms?
Yes. When you say setup hold, when you first power up the organ, doesn't the setup hold come up? It's a blue button?
No, style setup comes on.
No, on the aria, isn't the blue button, the setup hold, isn't that a blue button?
I'm not sure what color it is, but it's not active.
Yes, it is.
Yes,
It's
it is.
not active until you press it.
No, it
Okay.
comes on automatically.
Yeah. Now a lot of the organs nowadays, when you power it up, like if I powered up this model and all the arias and marquees, style setup is in yellow, I believe. It has a color. It's lit, but it's not activated.
Active.
Okay. So the setup hold button may come on at a certain color. I don't know what color it is. However, it won't be active until you press it.
Okay.
Okay, and it's a setup hold is when you have a, like in the case that I just said, if I put on happy organ
Mhm.
with style of vintage number 10 and I want to use that setup with another one, then I would hit setup hold, and that setup theoretically should be held until as I'm pushing other rhythm styles, and I could use it with anything. When does it change? The minute you press another setup button, then it deactivates it, and then it defaults to whatever button you're on. Okay?
Okay.
Robert, my setup hold comes on automatically when I power up.
Yeah,
It does.
But what happens when you press a rhythm style?
it goes off.
It goes off, right?
Yes,
Because it deactivates.
right.
You can't turn it
You have
off.
to activate it. Right.
Looks like Bonnie has a question.
Bonnie?
Well, it's kind of what you were just now talking about, is how to get the setup hold off. You said because it holds when you hit another rhythm, that it
Right.
stays.
But the minute you press another setup, like 1 through 10,
One of the preset things,
Yes.
then that deactivates it. In other words, it's on for just the setup 0 is the only.
if you activate it that way, yes. The minute you turn on the organ, from what I understand, it's on. But the minute you select a rhythm, it deactivates.
Right.
Okay. So then you would play the organ like you're doing. If you run into a setup that you really like, that you're using, and you go, oh, hey, I want to try that with this rhythm or that rhythm, then you would touch setup hold. And setup hold should do what it says. Hold the setup that you have.
Mhm.
Then you try out a different rhythm, you say, oh, okay, now let me go back to doing what I was normally doing. The minute you press another, I'm saying setups. A lot of you are used to the term presets. Same thing. 1 through 10, when you press it, then it'll deactivate the setup hold.
Gotcha, thank you.
Make sense? You guys are spoiled. You got arias, so you know a little bit more about, but I can figure it out. I'm jealous.
But if you change rhythms, it does.
If you change rhythms and you have setup hold on, it should not change that setup that you have. Just the rhythm will change because you're changing it.
Okay.
Okay, good questions. Any others? Any others? Now there's some chat things in here. Let me see. It says, can you use Fake It on the Virtuoso? That's a hard question, so I'm not going to answer that. No, I'm just kidding. I think the answer is yes. I've never done it, but I've heard Jim Wita used to say it all the time. So let me go to. I sometimes use Virtuoso as a Fake It feature because that's essentially what it's doing. Let's see here. I'm not sure if. I'm going to say I'm 80% sure that the Fake It will work in the Virtuoso. It depends on the model you have, because you're going to have to scroll through if you put on your Fake It feature, it might, or your Virtuoso, it might give you that option. So to see if I can properly answer that question, let me revert to the manual that you're not able to see, unfortunately. Let's see. Fake It. Page 4. Okay, no. I'm going to say the answer is yes, but depending on the model. I know for certain that it does. I can't find it in the manual just right on the fly here, but I've seen it done. I've seen Jim Wita do it on some of the models. And what I'll do, if, by the way, next week from today, the same time, we're doing the A series class. I'm going to be doing it with Myra. You're going to all want to come to that class, even though you have the EX, because it's going to be applicable, some of the things we're teaching. And by that time, I'll have the answer on all of the models that you're able to do that with. I know you can't do it on the Palladium, and I know on some of the models you could actually program the Fake It into the Virtuoso. So it's either by pulling up the Fake It or the Virtuoso feature, and then you can actually program the Fake It here if you want. So technically, you could have almost two different types of Fake It. You could have the Fake It that it actually gives you, or I like to use the Virtuoso as a Fake It, which is basically using it differently. Okay?
On the aria, the Grand Virtuoso, under your pattern, the Fake It is available.
Under pattern. Okay, so then that's where I saw it. So on the, okay, there it is. I don't have to wait a week. So I didn't push one button. I knew it was one other button. So on the E series that has the Virtuoso, you have pattern normal, which is, let me put on a nice piano sound here. Let's see. That's not a nice piano sound. Okay, so here's a piano. Let me turn off the strings. Okay, now I'm going to take the the normal pattern rather, and run my finger here, and then I'm going to, I'll take the upper sound and put it here. But listen to the pattern, okay? Okay, now if I go to the pattern and change it to skip, listen. You can tell the notes are doing a little bit differently. Now if I put on Fake It, well, let me put on a rhythm. Oh, let me put it back on, sorry. So you could actually put the Fake It pattern in here, but it's going to do the pattern like a Fake It would on the top keyboard. Okay? So if you have Fake It on, you would normally do this, or if you do it here, now that one sounds a little choppy with that one with the piano. I would probably use something like a vibraphone. So the answer is yes, you can put a Fake It into the Virtuoso. It's the third option on the pattern. And that's only on the E series models that have the Virtuoso. E meaning could be an EY or EX. You have to see, if you have this here, then you'll have that option on there, okay? So there, I just saved you a week of not knowing. Thank you, who figured that out. Was that Carolyn Storms?
It was Kathleen Wagner.
Kathleen Wagner? Well, we'll give you all credit. Thank you so much. Okay, is there any other questions here in the Grand Marquis? Grand Virtuoso begins with page 32. Robert, you're the best instructor in the whole wide world. I like it. No, I'm just kidding. That's not in the comments.
I don't see that in the chat.
I was typing that out as we speak. Saying that to myself. We're all the best, aren't we? That's what makes us so good. Okay, I'm going to finish off with a closing number. Does anybody have any other questions about anything that I've done today? Any questions?
I don't
And
see
Suzanne, I
anything.
just want to make sure, did we answer your question? That light comes on by default. Were you referring to the setup hold? Yes? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, it comes on, but it turns off the minute you put on a style setup or a rhythm, because then it deactivates
A
that.
preset.
Yes.
But
Now
it's,
called setup.
okay, but if you change rhythms, it still holds?
If you have, yeah, if I put on Frank in the count and style setup 0 or 1 or whatever, that light should go off. But then if you find a preset or setup that you like and go, oh, I like that one, I want to use it, push the setup hold. Then you pick all the other rhythms, it will hold.
Okay.
And then if you want it off, you just push another preset and then the hold gets kicked off.
Okay.
Okay?
Perfect.
All right. Any other questions? Any questions? Ann
Looks like Ann.
Federley. Ann Federley. Hi, Ann.
Yeah, hi,
You
can you
from
hear me?
Ann? Are you Ann from Osprey area, Port Charles?
Yes, I
Yes.
am, yeah,
Oh, hi, Ann.
hi. I'm sitting at the area and I'm doing the fake it thing on the Virtuoso, but it doesn't sound like it's doing it. So
You have
is
to,
there, I'm,
it might be based on the chord you're playing too. Remember,
okay.
fake it works when you have a chord that you're playing. So if you
Uh-huh.
play a C chord, the notes that you use theoretically should be based on the chord.
Well, do you just hold your finger on the Virtuoso or do you have
You
to
may have to
keep?
tap it. I haven't played with it on the aria. And you may, I don't know if you have to activate the fake it button or not. Maybe one.
Yeah, I don't know that. I couldn't tell the difference like with it on or off.
You may have to, I tried it with the fake it button on or off.
Okay,
So
okay.
theoretically it will do that, but you're going to find that if you don't put fake it in here either, the virtuoso almost works as a fake it in itself because it's playing notes that's pulled from the chord.
Mm-hmm.
So if you put on
Okay.
the fake it, it may just sound a little bit differently in the notes.
Okay, all righty, thank you.
Carolyn, do you
Appreciate
have
it.
another question or is your hand still up?
Yes, mine's still up. On the, when you were doing the fake it, you had a rhythm on, didn't you?
I did. You could do it with, or
With,
without the rhythm as long as you have a chord. Now, it's probably going to, I tend to find that the fake it works better when you have a rhythm on.
right,
Um, Rhythmically, it's easier for most, and
picks it up.
especially if you're using an auto fake it too. So, um, the
One more, one more question. When
Sure.
when you were doing the fake it, you held, on the Virtuoso, did you tap it at all? Did you move your, index finger and your middle finger a little bit? Or did you just hold them when you were doing the Virtuoso with the fake it?
I think the answer is yes.
Okay,
Did all of the above to try to
all
show
right.
you the differences. I did a little bit of both. I
Okay,
moved it around, I held it once, then I turned on the fake it because the virtuoso to me is acting like a fake it feature in itself. So when you put the fake it in there, it it kind of does its own little thing. So I have to fold it more to give. I'm gonna fold that this week. So next time I bring it up, I'll have a better intelligent answer. But the answer that I do know is that the E series that has it, you can program that pattern into the instrument. And
all right. Thank you.
Okay. All right, folks, I'm going to finish up with a closing number. But before we do, a couple announcements. We are going to have, first of all, before I forget, the song that I played in the beginning, Over the Rainbow, was an arrangement that Myra Ball did last week. I think it's been a week. It's only been a week, the 30th. She did this a long time ago, last year in 2020. And she had an arrangement, and I know when she plays it, she does a few extra little tricks. So what I asked her to do, I said, can you reprogram those presets so if someone was playing, easy play, could they do it? She said, sure. And then after I did that, I said, can you send them to me? Sure. I said, great. Now I'm going to give some of our students a chance to have those setups. And then I wanted to try them out too. So I randomly use those presets. But that comes as a little bit of a premium, and it's not much. So what we do is we have as many of you know, we have a site called patreon.com/Fletcher Music Centers. And I've had many questions about that. What is that? Well, it's kind of, Joni asked me about it. She was asking all these questions because she has students asking her. I said, well, it's kind of my way of saying when I'm done, like today, Joni had a class today. Dawn had 2 classes today. And then we have this class. There's 4 classes. Then what happens is all of those recordings come to me. I have to download them, upload them to YouTube, and in some cases put them on Patreon. And it takes a lot of time. I said, I want to get a little rewarded for that. So what I do is I thought it'd be fun. This Patreon site is we post all of the recorded classes on there, but we do some bonus content. So what what Myra did is she recorded that video of her in her presets, and she typed out a 2-page handout of all of those setups in case you wanted to do it manually, or if some of you knew how to download presets. That's a little trickier. If you become a patron on Patreon, some of that content you'll be able to acquire. Some of it's free, and you can follow us for free, and some of it is not, okay? And it's a very nominal fee. But I'm going to tell you, as time goes on, we're going to really put some amazing content on there. Joni did a song setup idea that was so basic that I thought a lot of people need to know about this. So she did a 5-minute recording. So I'm going to encourage you to explore that. Become a patron if you'd like. It's not going to keep us in business, but it's just a little extra token of things that we put on there. And it's definitely going to be worth it. The second thing I want to tell you about, this is going to be a lot of fun. I got this idea from, I forget where. It was one of our store managers used to do this. And this Friday, we're doing a concert called Zoom Musical Mishmash. And it's going to be a fun event. And the more of you that participate, the more of you that are involved, the more fun it's going to be. All right. Now, we won't be able to get everybody's input, but we'll do our best to get everybody chiming in. So there's going to be about 5 or 6 of us playing on Friday. And what we're going to do is we're going to give you some songs that we're going to play, and then you're going to tell us how that song's going to be played. And we're going to be put on the spot here. So I'll stay tuned in for more details. On Thursday, you're going to get an email with some instructions. You can print out a rhythm chart, and then on Friday we'll go over how the program is going to work. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So we're going to have there's going to be Joe, myself, Don, Sean, and Carrie. Are all 5 of us going to be playing, and then you're going to help us. You're going to determine how we play our favorite songs. Okay, so it's going to be a lot of fun. So we really want you all to show up, as many as you can. It's going to be a lot of fun. So with that said, I'm going to close off our class today with a number for you. And I think what I'll do is I'll do jumping jazz again, but I'll play a different number using that virtuoso, kind of like how I like to use it. And let's see. So now I have to find it was C1 was the preset. All right. And jumping jazz, and I'm going to do minor chord, and hang on, let's see how this works out. Okay, I got that in there. All right. thank you very much. We hope you enjoyed that. So that was Jumpin' Jazz, Putting on the Ritz. I use that brass shake and the trunk growl saxophone. And if you notice, I interchanged those sounds in the upper and the virtuoso. So hope you had some fun with that. Hope you had a good class today. Hope you took some good notes. And come around next Tuesday because you're going to get a little bit of sneak peek of some of the bonus features that Myra did on that song as well. So she and I are going to both be co-teaching that class. She's been chomping at the bit. She's still stuck at home, but she's ready to teach something. So we're going to do that together. So we'll see you then. See you Friday at our Zoom musical mishmash. Stay safe. Keep playing music. Happy New Year. And mwah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert.
Bye.
Thanks, Robert.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Good class.
Thank you.
Good class.